We've turned down so the Jen can see it, but we've got that the screen.
Thank you very much, and welcome everyone to this evening's meeting of SACRE. Thank you for those who are joining us in person. And I believe we've got Joe online. Joe, can you hear us? Joseph?
Loud and clear, Bob. Loud and clear. I hope everyone's all right this evening.
Yeah, we are. Thank you very much. We can hear you really well as well. Just for your information, I've got a screen in front of me which shows when you raise your hand, and I promise to occasionally look at it. So if you just click the button to raise your hand, then I will hopefully spot it just like I would anybody else. Right, so we'll carry on. The first item on the agenda is obviously apologies for absence. We have had a number of apologies this evening. Firstly, from Penny Coppin-Siddle. We've also had apologies from Colin Lewison, Tony Lawton, Taco Michaels, Councillor Knight, Councillor Rowley, and I think that's all the apologies that we've had. Next is any declarations of interest. Does anybody have any declarations of interest? No? Excellent. Thank you very much. So then we move on to the minutes of the previous meeting and matters arising from those minutes. So that's on page 9 and 10 of your pack. It starts there. So we can see that we've got school survey that we talked about previous meeting, and that we would update contact list, core offer and links to trusted sources. Maxine, anything on that?
Web services have been in touch for us to update the SACRE page, so we're on with that now, just making sure that everything is updated.
Thank you. And on that, I was looking at the SACRE page the other week, as you do, and as that some of us have got our up-to-date "this is who we are" blogs and or little sentences about who we are, and some members didn't, and that's possibly because we've had a couple of new members. So if you do take a look at the SACRE page on the website and note that you haven't got anything next to your name, or in fact your name's not on there, then could you let us know, let me know, and then we'll try and add something on. And actually, if you do look at the very short sentence long bios that are on there, and you want to just write something very briefly, that will be helpful. And then we'll get that updated as well. On the next item, we talked about the agreed syllabus, and we agreed to delay the implementation of a new agreed syllabus by a year. We did look at options with Seeding Pet. And I've not actually had any views on the agreed syllabus from anyone in particular since then. We are going to have a special meeting or a specific meeting to talk about that in the summer, I think we said, didn't we?
We did, yeah. So the extension has been agreed with RE today. I'm sorry. The extension to the current agreed syllabus has been agreed with RE today. It's also a number of SACREs now have put their review of their agreed syllabus on pause because we're awaiting the final work of the curriculum and assessment review, particularly the suggestion that RE becomes a national curriculum subject. Yeah, we're just waiting for more news to follow really about that. And as I say, it has meant that a number of SACREs have put their agreed syllabus reviews on pause at the moment.
Yes.
Pending that national review.
And even when that happens, well, I think that's a bigger conversation for us to have about how this works, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
On the next item, we have Maxine Squire to ask schools about their approach to flag flying at the schools forum meeting, which was the day after our SACRE meeting. and feedback?
Yes, which I did. Obviously, they have found it a challenging subject, definitely. A number of schools have dealt with it as sensitively as they possibly can. They did feel that, you know, when there are these contentious issues, they would find it helpful sometimes to have just a clear position, either from the council or from SACRE, that would just help them to navigate some of that in their schools.
Thank you. Yes.
Did you get any sort of idea of response from pupils to the flags?
Nothing specifically from pupils. Obviously, we know that in certain communities there are more tensions than others. But I think what schools were in the main trying to do was they recognised it was a difficult issue because there's both a positive side to the flag as well as a negative side to it, and they were trying to balance that very, very carefully. Just
anecdotally on that, Mark, I mean, I go into a large number of primary schools, probably not as many as Maxine, but children often feel that they can ask a politician about these things, and they should, and that's only right. And it's been, I have to say, I've had more people concerned about, more children concerned about flags being raised and what the connotations of that are regarding, you know, intimidation of minority groups, etc. Then I have people supporting it, but that's not to say that it's not that's the universal view. But I think, you know, just like it is with anybody really. Ben.
So I'm not much further forward because I wouldn't expect the schools to say they were not handling it sensitively. I would find it really useful to hear or see any materials that they've actually used. You know, did they, when they say they handled it sensitively, do they mean that they reacted if anybody raised it? Did they address it in assemblies? Did they use materials in RE lessons? And it's not really possible for us to know how we could support them if we don't actually know what they were doing.
Yeah, one of the things that we did send out to them was that the DFE produced some resources, and we circulated those to schools. Some of those will have been used very, very definitely. And obviously the DFE are continuing to look at updating their advice to schools on a number of different issues at the moment, particularly around the world situation at the moment. As you're probably aware, that there's also a review taking place on anti-Semitism in schools at the moment. So a lot of work taking place nationally, given that there's heightened tensions in the national context at the moment.
Would it be possible to share the materials that are being circulated by the DFE to schools with members of SACRE?
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think if there's two things there. I think one, if you can share what was shared from DFE at the time, but two, I think almost as a sort of standing point, if you're sending things out that are of a sensitive nature, or, you know, how would we describe them, that you feel would be appropriate for SACRE to have sight of. Yeah. Can we just do that as a matter of practice?
Yeah, something's come through actually in the last week, which is a resource for schools to support them if they're wanting to do lessons about the current situation in the Middle East.
Yeah.
So there is an organisation that has produced a PowerPoint presentation if they're wanting to host discussions about that. I will send it out to SACRE members so that you're able to see that.
Thank you. Just on something entirely separate and procedural, I've just had an email from Sue Bland who says she's at home and she's trying to join the meeting online but can't find the link. We're just going to pause just for a moment, if that's all right, and we're going to send that link to Sue and then she can join us. Okay, we're back live. Apologies for the short delay. Sue should hopefully be joining us online. Dee.
Just to let you know that in January, the Interfaith group completely cancelled their normal session to put it over to being discussion time for everybody. And we did actually get more people coming to it, including some teenagers coming to the session. But we changed it into one that people could discuss regarding the situation in York and the flags and everything else that was going on. So the Interfaith was aware of that and changed their programme accordingly. So
Good to know. Thank you. Sue, thank you for joining us. Can you hear us?
I can. I'm so sorry about that confusion, but I'm here now. Thank you.
No, you're absolutely fine. We're just on the minutes of the matters arising in the previous meeting. I think we've been through the matters arising. Does everyone content that the minutes are accurate? I'm seeing nods. Thank you very much. So we'll take those as accurate. And then we'll move on to the next item, which is the SACRE annual report. Maxine?
As you know, the SACRE annual reports always report on the previous academic year. So this one is for 24-25. They do follow a particular format. So we have included all the aspects of the annual report that NASACRE advise. This version was published just before it had to go to publication, just before I'd received Bob's comments. So there is a version with Bob's introduction in there, which we can send out as the complete report. One of the things that we worked on during the year 24-25 was trying to ensure that we were improving the quoracy at meetings, and there was an improvement in quoracy between 23-24 and 24-25. There were more quorate meetings being held. We did also welcome new members into Committee A, and Committee A has now got quite healthy representation from from across different faith groups in York. There are still some faiths that aren't represented, such as Sikhism. And it may be that we want to again reach out and link with different faith communities across the city. The main areas of focus in that year was obviously beginning that process of thinking about the review of the agreed syllabus, and also some of the work that NASACRE had been doing to refresh support for teachers. Two of our Committee C members actually attended the NASACRE conference last year as well, which they found to be very helpful. So that was Taco and Diane who actually attended that. In terms of standards, one of the things that's changed in doing this report is that we're not able at the moment to drill in quite as successfully into the results from each of the schools, and that's purely because of a change in the way that we're able to access the national data sets. So we've done a summary of performance both at Key Stage 4 and Key Stage 5. In terms of Key Stage 4, the percentage at achieving grade 4 plus in York is significantly above national, which is in the 70%. So it's still a subject that performs very, very well in the city. The annual survey to schools this year was used really to start to identify areas that would support the review of the agreed syllabus. We've also continued as SACRE to share materials and signpost schools towards the regional RE hub as being a good source of support. Obviously, the RE hub has also started to review what it does in the future. And again, starting to consider that in the light of the findings within the curriculum and assessment review. I think there will be a lot happening in the RE space going forward as a result of that review. There's also been an indication that although even if RE becomes a national curriculum subject, that will not dilute the importance of SACREs. And actually, there's indications that the role of SACREs will be looked at nationally, but SACREs will not be dissolved as part of the work going forward. So we're awaiting further details about that. Links with other bodies, we continue to have that strong relationship with the York Interfaith group. And one of the things that I do want us to think about in the work that SACRE does is obviously we need to think about SACRE's contribution towards Holocaust Memorial Day. And I've been invited into that steering group. It was meeting tonight, so unfortunately I couldn't actually make that meeting, but where we feel that we want SACRE to have a more active role in that, I think is one of the things that we want to consider during this year. We continue to have our relationship with Democratic Services so that SACRE is properly clerked, and also that all the work of SACRE is in the public domain through the fact that it's part of the corporate year and its work is published and the meetings are published and supported by Democratic Services. We did a review of the development plan and slimmed that down, but I think one of the things that we want to talk about this evening as part of the meeting is about how we're focusing on the delivery of that development plan and some of the things that we may want to focus on particularly during this next year. I put a summary of last year's spend as well. We get an annual allocation of 3,500. Obviously, one of the things that we've had to do very recently since January is just to make a payment to RE Today to extend the licence on the agreed syllabus. We will send out a communication from SACRE to all schools to explain that extension and what the next steps will be. But you can see there that we're working well within the annual financial envelope for SACRE. Okay, I'll invite any questions.
Thank you, Maxine. And yeah, no, this copy doesn't include my absolutely groundbreaking introduction, I tell you. Oh, it was fantastic. But when you see it, well, there'll be tears. But yeah, one thing I just want to put on record really is my thanks to all the officers for their work on SACRE, because you know, this isn't necessarily the way it works in other authorities, so it is absolutely welcome that we do take this seriously. We do, the officers are really working at this behind the scenes. It makes my life a hell of a lot easier, and it certainly supports the work that we're doing. So, any particular questions from anyone around this report? I mean, I think we have been doing well about quoracy. It's worth noting that tonight we are not quorate, which is unfortunate, as we've had apologies from an individual from Group C. So any decisions we make tonight, we'll have to ratify at the next meeting. But yeah, we've been doing quite well on that. Any other questions about this? I think maybe we need to reach out to Interfaith to talk about potential representation from the Sikh community.
I did actually think, and I've got it written down as one of my own little action points here, to maybe put something into our newsletter, because we've got both Sikh and Hindu representation as well. So I'm sure we can find representations for those two at some point, yeah. I think Avtar Madharu did sit on SACRE for a while, but he's very busy at the university now doing lots of things as well. So, but that's not to say that we can't have others. Is there a lower age limit, because his son is about to be leaving school, I think, and going to uni. I just wondered if there's an age limit for any representations.
Yeah, more the merrier.
Okay,
I was going to ask the same question, but in relation to, sorry, I was going to ask the same question in relation to his daughters, actually.
yes, I was going to say, because they come to a lot of the sessions to his son and his daughters, so.
I think it would be massively beneficial to us if there were a young person of school age who was here.
Actual young people in a meeting
Yes.
about young people. This
No, no,
is
sure.
wow.
Revolutionary.
I mean, it's madness, isn't it? No, I mean, I'd be happy unless any members are adamantly against that. I think, yeah, that would be very helpful. I know that in another body I chaired, the corporate parenting board, actually young people, involving the young people within that group it's been transformational, really. So yeah, I'd be really happy to help and support people, Maxine.
Yes, obviously, I think that would help really to bring SACRE to life, to have more youth voice inputting into it, definitely. And as Bob said, we're doing that in a number of the boards, including the Send and AP Partnership Board.
It's the way forward, and I think it'd be really positive if we could. Okay. It's got a thumbs up from Sue as well, which is nice. I've just seen it float across the screen. Any other comments on that report? No? Okay. Then we will, as I said, we can't approve that because ironically we're not quorate tonight, but we can unofficially approve it and then ratify it at the next meeting. Does anyone not want to approve? Brilliant. Right. Thank you very much. That moves on to item 4, which is the review of the agreed syllabus. So we briefly mentioned this in the matters arising, but Maxine, anything else to say?
Yes, obviously, now we have got an extension, it's a good time to do a very thorough look at the agreed syllabus and really think about more engagement with teachers in particular over the coming year, so that they feel that they've got a strong voice in its review as well. We can bring Stephen Pett back. He's very happy to support a future SACRE meeting. And I felt to sort of kick that off, probably we'd want to use our next meeting for Stephen just to brief us on where he feels the national agenda is at the moment in that review of RE, and to help us to really start that very, very thorough review.
Yeah, thank you. I think if members remember our previous meeting, we did have, I think it's the previous one, Stephen did speak to us and gave us a good oversight, but it was quite rushed because of the nature of the meeting. So my thoughts, and I think officers' thoughts, are we just dedicate the next meeting specifically to looking at where our agreed syllabus is now and compare that to where we might want to go moving forward, which I think is a really hard job for us to sort of know the detail of. Hopefully we've got our teacher members with us as well, Karen, that helps. So I think maybe we need to sort of just think carefully about how we deal with that meeting. And also it's okay not to get to the end of that meeting with decisions, right? It's a learning exercise, the next meeting, to then take it further as we go through the year ahead. Anybody want to comment on that? Yes, Ben.
I wonder if it would be useful to invite those schools that don't follow our curriculum to let us have a copy, or ask them if they would share their curriculum with us. It'd be interesting to see what they were doing that was different.
I mean, that seems reasonable. I can't see anyone disagreeing. Actually, that's with that as an action.
Yeah, we can. I mean, many of the ones that don't use it are using the diocesan agreed syllabus. But there are some resources that some schools are using which they extend their use of the agreed syllabus with. So it may be a mix of those things really is helpful.
And I'm just thinking, and this is off the top of my head, but we do have a small budget. And I am very, very conscious that Maxine's got an awful lot to do, because I give her an awful lot to do. Is there a way that potentially we can use some of this budget to actually, and I am literally just making this up as I go along, but like, you know, to maybe do a bit of research for us? I don't know how that would work, but I just feel like I like what Ben's just said is a really good idea, but I want that we get the information in a dedicated way. Yeah. Maxine.
Yeah, I was going to suggest actually, one of the things that you might want to consider as SACRE is whether you use a small amount of the budget to support like a teacher reference group, so that they can have a more direct advisory role in helping SACRE to understand what would work well in schools.
And I think that, just following on sort of a train of thought, really, if we're getting into a position where we might end up with an RE national curriculum, right? But SACRE still exists, it's going to be really beneficial for our members to have a really good understanding of what's going on in schools right now. And I think if we combine that with the visits that we've done and we continue to do, that could be helpful. So I think in principle, that'd be something that I'd support. Has anyone got any sort of questions about that? Any thoughts?
Karen, you know, from your own point of view, I know it's difficult because RE teachers don't have much time and are teaching an immense amount of young people. But it's really what would they value from SACRE in terms of helping them with the quality of RE?
I mean, I think that the majority of schools that we've got in York that have that obviously stick to the curriculum and the agreed syllabus, and those that have alternative provision, so the RED for Catholics, I think we are really lucky in the sense that there aren't any schools that deny themselves or deny their students that. So we're in a really, really good position from that perspective. I think it would be useful to be able to see what the other schools do and how that compares with potentially what it might look like as a national curriculum subject. How you gather that information, knowing how busy your RE staff are and all your other staff as well. I mean, kind of thinking on a purely practical basis, if you were to ask the heads of department to get their teams together to ask for that information, whether that was done via a sort of questionnaire or whether that was done by an open-ended question, I think that would depend on the school and the ability for those departments to get together to feed back that information. I mean, at All Saints we have a Tuesday night meeting every week, and so we would have some capacity during a department evening to be able to put that information, but not all schools would have that. So it's how would you get that information so it was meaningful enough for people to do something with it. That's not a cop-out. No, that's just a kind of realistic picture.
And the sort of my thought off the top of my head about this. Also, I love the idea of a Tuesday night meeting every night, and it must feel like it sometimes. That we could use some of that money to pay for a small amount of time, potentially cover to allow an afternoon or something where members of RE departments from across, you know, a range of schools, we wouldn't be able to pay for everyone, right, with that amount of money. So we're not talking about a lot, are we? But you know, we could potentially pay for an afternoon to get people together in the same room, and then if they've had a chance to do what you've said your department could do, and then one person comes and then meets with us, but also meets with other RE teachers to sort of explain what it is that they're
I really miss the opportunity to meet with other RE teachers. I haven't done that for such a long time, and I've been All Saints 10 years. So I obviously know other people that work in other schools that are RE teachers from my own networking, but actually meeting purposefully for that specific job, you know, that would be great to do. It's just like you say, facilitating that.
because, you know, we've got the space here to host something, just about.
But also, our colleagues at Huntington Research School have a good space as well that
Yeah.
they're very that is used. Yeah.
So, and I'm conscious that I did start this by saying Maxine's got too many things to do. Are we okay,
Yeah.
Maxine, to sort of think about how that might
Yeah.
work? And Karen, could you help sort of
Definitely,
with logistics around that?
Yeah. I'll speak to Taco about it as well. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, anything else on that point there? No. Right, update for Interfaith. Do we have an update? Dee, do you want to say anything? You don't have to.
Do something in Penny's absence.
What sort of an update would you like?
But what's you've mentioned earlier on that Interfaith had changed their meeting
Yeah,
style.
we changed our meeting on in the January meeting. A person that was going to deliver to us anyway was not well, so it just seemed a perfect opportunity for us to change that, and we actually looked at a discussion group about what was happening with the flags, and that went down very well, and we even had some teenagers say they Sikh family that were there as well, and somebody that was staying with somebody else went along. So it's good that we could actually do that. We're also reviewing what we can offer schools too. We've just recently been into the Pocklington School, which is one of the ones that we go into on an annual basis, and we go in for the whole of the day, and we go in en masse. I don't know whether you were part of it this year, Ben, or not. No, I couldn't do it this year either, but we go in en masse, and we have usually, we see all of I forget which year it is, sorry, 14 and 15-year-olds. So, and we cover as many of the faith things as we can. This year, one of their feedback to us was there were too many Christian groups, which there were this year because some of the other faiths could not attend because it was the wrong day for them, because they're the people who did that. So we've taken that on board as well, and we feed back to the school as well as them feeding back to us as well, to say it may be better to go back to being a Friday because there was more different people that could go. And we're aware that they are not a school of faith at all. So that I don't think that they have, well, they must follow some sort of curriculum, but we are their token gesture of RE that they try to do in one day, I think. I don't know how they do it or what they follow, but they are not a school associated with particular faith. But it's always very interesting for us to try and cover those, and it gives us a chance to review ourselves as well. And we're very aware that we want to try go on this visit as well with the SACRE group, and maybe let the York schools know that we're here, because we've done, I think, just 2 in York over the years since I've been with the group, and that's in the past 20 years, which is not a lot. So I think sometimes schools don't really know that they have the access of having us into their schools.
Thank you. That's quite, yeah, Ben?
So one specific, if you're giving feedback to Pocklington, I think the reason they don't get the less well-resourced community is it's a massive ask. It's totally out of proportion with the ask of any other school. So it's 4 hours, and I'm not surprised that most people can't do that. And it might just be at least worth pointing out that other schools ask you to go in and do an assembly or do a class, and it's, you know, an hour or 2, and that is manageable. The other point that I wanted to ask about was I was contacted about a week ago from someone who's doing some work with an APPG on faith action, which is trying to promote something called the Faith Covenant. And I just wondered if you, either Dee or Maxine, you'd had any experience of them. It's just slightly worried me that it might be duplicating within York things that we're doing quite well on Interfaith. But
I haven't had any contact from them so far.
I think, is this the one that's going on between the churches, the Faith Covenant Forum? That, strangely enough, their name flashed up in a meeting that I was at last night, and I'd not heard about them, so put it in the notes. And then somebody said, oh no, don't include that because that is literally just going on in York to do with the churches in York.
Driven by the churches in York.
You just put your microphone on.
So it's being driven by the churches in York, but the Faith Covenant is a national interfaith initiative by a parliamentary group of MPs from different faiths. You're right. It's been driven by the churches in York.
What I've actually just been doing today is drafting an email that can be sent to about 4 different groups that we're involved with, because when they email us about something to do with interfaith, they never really say we are part of X, Y, and Z group. We just get this thing that goes through to say we're holding a webinar, it's about interfaith work, it's about this. And so I've just been drafting an email to send to them all to say, please, we're very happy to be working with you all. Could you please let us know which group you're linked into? And does this mean that there is going to be a possibility of a new interfaith network nationally again? Because otherwise we don't want to end up with little pockets of groups doing the same thing. And so I've been trying to draft that together today. And that was one of the groups that was mentioned, but I was told to leave that off the list today. So I've taken them off the list.
I'll send you.
Ben, I wonder if you could maybe circulate to sort of members
Yeah.
a little bit more about what you're talking about.
They ask the churches to encourage local authorities, including in York, this group, to sign a faith covenant, which they don't publish, so I have no idea what's in it. They provide a photo of parliamentarians, some of whom are obviously not Christian from their dress, but
Right.
It just felt like a potentially at best a duplication of effort.
I mean, you can share what you've got. That'd be really helpful, so we can establish it. Because
I'll send you a note.
I don't think anyone's got in touch with me about it. And it, assumingly, probably be me who'd have to sign it. Yeah.
I don't want to be I don't want to be dismissive of it.
No, it might be fine.
There's some value in it, but
let's find out more. Okay. Anything else from an updated interfaith? We're happy to. Thank you for that, for stepping in. So item 6 is the delivery of the SACRE development plan. Where were we up to with this, Maxine?
So we'd identified and slimmed down the development plan, and obviously we'd agreed that there needed to be time spent on the agreed syllabus, particularly around engagement opportunities with RE teachers, children and young people, to understand the quality and impacts of the agreed syllabus that we currently use. That will require us to think about how we pull together those engagement events. Now, one of those obviously may be the event that we pull together for RE teachers to begin that. But we'll need to think about what we'd run for children and young people. I think we've got time to do it. It's just really probably having a small subgroup to try and get a calendar of engagement opportunities pulled together that we can run throughout this year and into next year. We talked about SACRE sponsoring a conference for RE teachers and to run webinars linked to the agreed syllabus. So obviously one of the things that we want to again think about is, are we going to set aside a budget to facilitate a conference for RE teachers? And also it may come out of that group, that focus group we run with RE teachers, to say what is going to be the most useful thing to help you with your work. We talked about the secondary school visits. We're visiting TACO on the 25th of March, and I'll just clarify who is actually participating in that visit today. and we're continuing to promote the RE Hub resources, but it's also thinking about, are there any ways in which, because we did mention a couple of years ago that sometimes schools were feeling, were there any resources that were specifically about York that would help schools to understand the way that the faith communities in the city look? So that may be something that we want to think about, particularly through your work in Interfaith. Is there almost like an information sheet that each of the York faith communities are able to produce that can go into schools that help them to understand what's available locally? And then there was the contribution to community cohesion and social and racial harmony, and really thinking about what we want to do in that space, because we talked about an annual engagement event with children and young people, particularly to promote that. And I think that leads on really from what we were saying about the complexities in what's happening nationally at the moment, but also directly linking into that agenda around the flags and what that could look like really. And I do think we'd have to have a steering group on it and thinking about when that could happen to have the best impact.
Okay. I think just so from a practical point of view, can we just have the development plan that we agreed just attached to the agenda sort of moving forward, just so it's always on there, so we can keep an eye on it. Does anyone have any questions about what Maxine's just raised? Yes, Councillor Wilson.
I was just thinking when you were talking about that final point about cohesion across the community and the youth festival that took part last year, which I believe we're looking at doing again this year, and whether there's some way of tying it in so that it's a youth festival with a theme of cohesion and community, and tying those bits together. It feels like a good opportunity.
And obviously using it as well to celebrate some of the good things that are happening, because obviously Fishergate became a school of sanctuary. I think, sort of using that opportunity as well to showcase some of those things, but also to get other schools involved so that we don't just have Fishergate as the one school, and it begins to spread.
I think there's something in sort of that youth festival thing there, isn't there? And I wonder, because obviously that was run by the Youth Council. So it's maybe worth speaking to them about what it's going to be about this year and go from there. Dee?
It's interesting that you mentioned the leaflet, because it's already on our list of things to do, because we decided we would actually have something available for people. We're going to do a short version of it to take into York College that we're going in to help them on the same day as the SACRE visit, because they wanted to know about different cultures. So they've asked us to go into that day. So we're going to have a short version of it, but we are aware that we're going to be working on one anyway to be able to send into schools. So perfect timing.
Yeah, that's really helpful, Dee. And I think, as I say, it will also help schools to connect more with resources in the local area.
Ben?
Apologies if I'm behind everyone else, but I think the government published their cohesion strategy yesterday. There's bits about it about expanding Interfaith Week. I don't know what expanding it means when you shut it down, and roles for SACRE. And so I just wanted to check that we were working our way through that, seeing if there was anything of value in it for us.
Yeah, I haven't opened it yet.
No.
I will be having it and pulling out some of the things that we should be. And pulling out some of the things that it's important for SACRE to begin to feed into the development plan. Definitely.
So I've actually got to read it for something else, so I'll have a look and I'll
Thank you, Ben.
feed you back.
Yeah,
if there's
thank
anything
you.
that strikes me.
That's really helpful, Ben. Thank you for that, because I think there's a lot of new strategies coming out from the government, particularly in the children's sphere as well. There's an awful lot going on, which is all it's good that we've got some change, but yeah, it's definitely added to your inbox, Maxine.
I just felt if we agree certain things that, you know, as I say, that SACRE feel that they can do, I think it also will help with the engagement of members in meetings as well.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that we'd look about our annual report year on year. This year has been about sort of getting prepared for that agreed syllabus, but we have done more in the past, and so I do think that we've got this new development plan now, which I do think has a number of actions that we can carry out. So I wonder if we start then. If Ben, you're happy to look at that cohesion strategy and report back to members via email in between meetings. If we're talking about potentially getting teachers together and seeing if we can maybe pay for some time, that's an action for Maxine and for Karen. That then, for me, I think that's a first step. If we can work out if that's possible and how much that costs, that then gives us an opportunity to think about other things we might do and whether actually that is the start of a conference. Because in my head, I think it'd be great if you could get some RE teachers together to talk about what they do, almost in a very sort of safe space as just RE teachers. But then actually we have talked about and then getting those RE teachers and members of different faiths in the same space as well. So then you've got two opportunities. If we can potentially get children to join our committee, and with young people, children, people who are younger than me, students, I actually think I kind of want to hold fire on any young person engagement activity until young people have had an opportunity to say what might work, you know. So I think sort of maybe pausing on that one. The visits to schools, we've obviously, that's next item on the agenda as a next step there, because I think we again need to just think about how does that work, and then because we did primary schools, we're doing a secondary. We want to think about how we continue that, because I think that adds to our knowledge. If we've got RE teachers telling us this is what we do in practice, if we've got visits to schools to almost give us a feel for what's going on, we start to increase our knowledge base, which we can then share out. Maxine.
Chair, could I suggest that I contact Huntington School as our other maintained secondary school? I know they've got a very proactive head of RE there, and that we follow up the visit to Joseph Rowntree with a visit to Huntington in the summer term.
Sounds great to me. And that matches sort of what we did previously with two primary schools. And also there was a geographic element to our last visits, where it's Fishergate and St Oswald's in Fulford. We'd have almost a similar thing going on with Huntington and Joseph Rowntree. So that might work. Okay.
And we could actually then follow up with one of the schools that the feeder primaries for that feeds into both schools. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I see. Yeah. So then look further down the lines, go to one. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So I think I kind of want to start with working out what's possible with any sort of coming together of RE teachers. I think if we can get that off the ground, that'd be a good start for us. And then from that, learn what else we can do off our development plan. So that leads us nicely on to item 7, which is the SACRE visit to Joseph Rowntree. Taco's not here tonight, but we thank him. Maxine.
Yeah, it was. Just to confirm, so I can send the details to Taco, which members of SACRE will be joining that visit on the 25th of March. Dee? Yeah.
Well done, Dee.
Thank you. Anybody else who's able to join that visit?
Sue, you're online. I think you were you attended our previous ones, I think.
She did.
Yeah, I attended the St Oswald's visit. Unfortunately, I just can't make the 25th of March. Otherwise, I would have been very interested to go.
Yeah, I mean, likewise, unfortunately, I'm at work
teaching
on a
day, isn't
Wednesday.
it?
Aaron?
I may be able to request
That'd be great if
So,
you could, Karen. Yeah.
to be part of that. I would need to speak to school, obviously, but if I speak to our deputy head and get back to you.
Yeah, definitely. No,
That'd be-
that'd be so helpful if you could. Yeah.
Lee?
Do we have times for it? Because I've not been made aware of any times. All right.
And then he's going to send me the final, he will send me the final programme that he's
Okay.
put together.
Mhm. Thank you.
So I'll circulate that out the minute we've got that back from TACO.
Maxine, are you available to go?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, I've put it in my diary to support it.
Thank you. So that's 2 members, Maxine. So, and I think from memory, last time when we went to the primary schools, it was about 3 of us on each one.
It was,
Yeah.
yeah, it was.
So I think that's doable.
Yeah.
Any more in a classroom, and it does get a bit awkward.
Yeah. And obviously what you will also get the chance to see is you'll see some A level as well, which you'll see that full range of young people.
That's really positive. And when we did that meeting, when we did those visits last time, I wrote up a little bit of a report back to members of this group just to sort of say what we'd seen and what we thought had happened. I know Councillor Knight attended the previous one. She's not here now, and I don't want to sort of give her a job. Well, I kind of do actually. It'd be really good to have someone from that previous one. So,
I think she did actually say she was interested in going to Joseph Rowntree, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we're all not. Yeah, Karen,
Yeah.
I definitely say.
Yeah.
Write that down. But if we can make sure we get in touch with her, because again, hope she was involved in the writing of the report last time, so it'd be good to get her to carry that on. So then you've got that shared memory. Okay. Next item is NASACRE news, which you have in your pack. Does anyone have any burning questions, or Maxine, anything you want to highlight to us in particular from that?
No, I don't think so, other than the fact, that NASACRE continues to put out quite a lot of opportunities for SACRE members to join webinars and various training events. They are intending to hold another national conference. We've always, sort of sponsored people to attend that. So I think it's, just confirming if anybody's going to be interested in that. As I say, last time we did focus that on members of Committee C.
Yeah, and I think if anyone is interested in attending that conference, please do get in touch with myself and Maxine, because I think it's absolutely valuable for us to have people attending that. Last time, all right, it was Taco and Diane attended. I think that's what you said earlier on. It might be a great recruitment device for, maybe not, I don't know, for someone for Group C, but it's certainly something that we could say to people if you want to get involved. It's on the cards.
Yeah, and again, it's on the theme of cohesion. It's about bringing communities together. So.
Which absolutely
will be useful.
we've talked about a lot recently,
Yeah.
haven't we? So I think that works. Yes, councillors.
Is it worth adding that to your email out to schools to say that there's a funded opportunity?
There's funded
for
opportunities
CPD?
to go, yeah, to attend, yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Next item is correspondence on complaints and determinations. Have we had anything?
No, we've had nothing through.
And just to confirm, we did. We have renewed. We told schools that they need to, right?
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gone out to all schools a reminder about that.
Thank you. So, because that was a concern, wasn't it? Previously, the schools had forgotten almost that they needed to make those notifications, but if they know and they haven't, then we know a little bit more. Any other business? Okay. So you'll see the future date is, the next meeting is the 21st of April, 6 p.m. Obviously, by that point, we'll have had some members go on a visit to Joseph Rowntree School. There's a number of bits and pieces of actions for members in between now and then, which is really positive. Looking at dates, I think we need to change the 21st of April. And I'll tell you why. Because both me and Maxine are at a secondary public speaking competition. So straight away, ignore the 21st of April. Let's email out everyone and we'll find something else that works better. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you for turning up. It's 7 o'clock. Have a nice evening. Thank you. Thank you to those online. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.